Warnings of an Australian recession. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because, well, we've got warnings that we're going to head into a recession here in Australia, guys. A little bit more fear and concern. Here is the article. Australia at huge risk of recession. Warning the RBA should halt their rate rises. They need to stop their rate rises because they might drive us into a recession. Now, what is the definition of a recession? That is not the definition of a recession. I will read it out to you because I need to reprogram some things. It's a period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced, generally identified by a fall of GDP in 2 successive quarters. Now, our GDP, let's hope that works. Yes, that works. It did fall for 2 quarters. You can see there back in June 2020. We had one tiny fall and then one huge fall. And since then, GDP has not been declining. Now, we need to look at another chart here. This one. Now, this is one I did. This is looking at GDP growth per capita over time since they started recording the data. Now, you can see all those little numbers there. Those are the ones that are above trend. And you can see all the ones that are at or below. Since the GFC, our GDP growth per capita has been, well, trending down. So while the economy is still growing, it's not growing as much per person. And what's driving our population growth? Oh, our economy and significant parts of our housing market? Population growth. So one could argue, because there isn't an actual technical definition of an economic depression, that our economy has been depressed since the GFC. Things aren't as rosy as they once were. But, you know, number goes up, everyone is happy. So let's jump over and have a look at this, because, I mean, if we enter a recession, it isn't necessarily the worst thing. You want a recession to clear out the dead and failing businesses and to people who borrow too much and allow opportunities for people to swoop in, create new. You need the big old dead trees to fall over so the young growth can grow up between the gaps. But unfortunately, I don't think that's the type of thing that they allow to happen here in a recession in Australia. They just, will burn all the young growth to make sure nothing is challenging the consumption of the older, more established trees. So Australia is at a huge risk of recession, and the RBA should halt rises. There are fresh warnings of a huge risk the economy could be plunged into recession if the Reserve Bank ignores calls to temper interest rate hikes. A week after the Central Bank Board lifted the cash rate to 3.35%, Governor Philip Lowe appeared at a Senate Estimates Committee cautioning more rate rises were on the cards. Financial markets now expect the cash rate to hit 4.1% by August, but Dr. Lowe could not say when rates were going to peak in the bank's fight against inflation. AMP Chief Economist Shane Oliver warned it was possible further rate hikes could plunge the economy into recession. I think we are getting close to the top because there are a lot of evidence that globally inflation has peaked. It's just a question of how much further we go, he told NCA Newswire. I don't think we need to go above 4%. There are other economists who say we will go above 4%. I worry that if we go to that level, it's going to cause big problems for Australian households with mortgages and potentially knock the economy into recession. What do you reckon will happen, guys? If you've got something that will cause problems and something that will not cause problems, or maybe less problems, based on just history, where do you think the Reserve Bank is going to go? Place your bets in the comments. The RBA and Treasury both believe inflation peaked at a near 3-decade high of 7.8% in the December quarter. Raising interest rates is the RBA's mechanism for fighting inflation. Dr. Lowe acknowledged on Wednesday it would make him unpopular among those already financially struggling. It's the job of the central bank to do sometimes what's unpopular in the national interest, he said. Another increase is all but a done deal for March. BIS Oxford Economics Shane Langcake said, with further hikes possible for April and May. It's kind of a choice of taking your medicine now, he told NCA Newswire. It depends on how they choose to read the data that comes in. It's a lot more art than science at this point. It's no bloody science. It's completely art. Dr. Lowe said he was curious to know what the tipping point would be for the RBA and warned there was a potential to repeat the mistakes of the last recession. Sometimes you don't know before you've gone beyond it, which was the experience of the late 80s, early 90s, hiking rates, and then suddenly we've gone too far, he said. That's a huge risk. I would not be shocked if that's going to happen. It won't be as high as the 80s or 90s, but it will burn a lot more people than they need to. I mean, this is what they're doing. They want you to go out there and be good little plebeians and spend all your money and get into debt when they drop the rates, to keep everything moving. And the government gives you their freebie monies, and stimulates the economy. And now a few of you are going to have to burn for the greater good. That's the Australian way. It's because people want a more stable market. They don't want the unknowns and uncertainties and lack of stability of a free market. They're just willing to sacrifice some people along the way to make it happen. Which is better, you tell me. He said, just don't trust any of them, guys, and take a page of Dave Ramsey's book, The Debtor is Slave to the Lender, and keep your debts manageable, really manageable. He said he would like to see the bank hit the pause button and allow time for the data to reflect the increases already in the system. Yes, that's what I was expecting to see happen, but it looks like they're just going for it. It takes 2 to 3 months before mortgage rate hikes or variable interest rate hikes play through. Mortgages take even longer now because of the greater proportion of people on fixed rates, Dr. Oliver said. There's 800,000 or so people on fixed rates who will see their interest rates double this year. All of that is yet to play out. So there's an argument to sort of sit back for a while and see what all the impact has been. Mr. Langcake agreed. There were enormous risks either way. That's what makes it really challenging at the moment, he said. Or he added. Let's have a bit of a talk about that. I think the one lesson we can all take from this entire situation is that they don't know what the hell they're doing, and they seem to make it up as they go along. Can you trust them? No, we can't. It's not science. It's an art, everyone. They may go too far. They may go too little. This is centrally controlling a complex, emergent system with more variables than they can ever hope to measure with outdated data. So bear that in mind, okay? That's what it is. You've got to understand it. And take that information on board and frame your life in such a way that you will not be put at excessive risks based on the decisions of these people. That's the best advice I could give you. And where that leads, don't take too much debt. Have multiple income streams. Live like a poor bastard. Don't be like that couple who are earning 150 grand a year, have 70 grand in their pocket a year after their mortgage expenses, that are terrified they're going to have to sell their house. Don't be like that. It's not worth the stress, guys. And remember, hey, the debtor is slave to the lender. It's ancient knowledge. It hasn't changed. It's no different to now. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Are you worried about a recession? Do you have too much debt and are right at the edge? Or are you one of the people in the comments who paid off their entire mortgage and are just sitting pretty and watching it all? Take care, guys. Check out my other channels, HeiseBim and Heise Does, for other content I discuss. And if you're a fan and want to support us, you can on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links, buy a pocket squares, or call us if you need an architect. Take care. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode of HeiseSays. Bye for now.